This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. And we welcome you back to another edition of the More to Say podcast with Randy Naughton. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Team Jakey is an organization that started after the Zeller family lost someone they loved dearly to suicide. So they decided to do something about it and put on all kinds of great events and hopefully prevent suicide in the future. So they are a great family, great organization. Just go to teamjakey.org and you can check that out. Also, Mostly Superheroes podcast, our podcast partner, Logan Janis, he puts on a great podcast all about St. Louis. They are great St. Louis ambassadors. So check them out at mostlysuperheroes.com. And of course, Dr. Joe Molesky. Feel the Dr. Joe difference with STL Medical Weight Loss. If you've been thinking about those GLP-1s, maybe it's time to give Dr. Joe a buzz. Just go on their website, stlmedweightloss.com. Doesn't cost you anything to ask questions, so check it out. Today, we are talking with one of my favorite people, and I've known him probably close to 30 years now, and he's been ensconced in the St. Louis community ever since he left the game of St. Louis Blues hockey and NHL hockey. We welcome today Mr. Kelly Chase. How you doing, Kels?
Great, kid. How you been?
I love it that you still and always have called me kid. I do believe I'm older than you, but you call me kid, so I'm good with that.
I doubt it, and for sure you're not as broken down as me. So
yeah, you've been through it.
Yeah.
Geez, you've been through it. As we sit right now, everybody knows, and you've made no secret about your battle with cancer. It went away, then it came back, then you had a setback, as you called it. You got punched in the nose. And you're still going and you're still persevering and you're still active and you're still on podcasts, you're on commercials, you're putting together fundraisers. And I wanted to ask you this question. How do people address you? Is it a former NHL enforcer? Is it a podcaster? Is it a community activist? Is it a cancer survivor, or all of the above? What do you say?
Well, it's funny you say that, because with me, it's more about, just call me Chaser. I don't know how they formalize it. I really don't know. And I don't really think much about it. It's funny. I was at the hospital today and this lady had a Blues Stanley Cup shirt on, and she had like this pin that said Stanley Cup champions. And she's a nurse. And I was talking to her, and I'm not saying, like, I'm just assuming she knows who I am, because I think arrogantly that the reason she's got her Blues garb on is because she knew I was coming in for the appointment.
Maybe.
And she didn't, of course. But when I said, she looked and she goes, like, I know who you are. And I said, oh, like, I was kind of like, okay, well, and then I was kind of like, well, I love your shirt. And she goes, I'm going to tell you right now, I never knew I just happened to put it on today because it's long sleeved and it's cold. And she goes, and I said, okay. And then I'm embarrassed and I go, can I get a picture with you?
You said that? That's awesome.
And she goes, I go, yeah. And she goes, sure. So I said, well, do you have a camera? Because I don't have a phone. Which of course I did. And she took a picture and she's like, where do I send it? I said, you don't, you keep it.
That's so sweet.
Figured out then, like, I was a dumbass, and I was like, I actually thought she dressed up for me. So
that's funny.
Don't think about it too much, Randy. I mean, I've had to change my platform quite a bit.
Yeah.
From where I was to where I am now, from a player to a broadcaster, and, now being in the business world, getting sick, I just had to find a new platform to try and help people. I thought it's important. And look, we have an obligation to give back when we've been treated as well as we have in the city.
And that is a platform, Kelly, that you've been doing since you were playing in St. Louis. I remember distinctly when you got traded away by one Mr. Mike Keenan. Yep. And, you had to leave the kids with whom you worked as far as a nonprofit giving back. And I remember you, and I remember this distinctly. You were wearing a cowboy hat,
Yep.
and we were interviewing you on TV, and
Yep.
you were sobbing, which you have no problem showing your emotions. And I remember a single tear dripped off your nose. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. But it was one of those things where you were more gutted about leaving the kids you were helping in St. Louis than you were with the trade.
Well, the trade happened, and it was like, I always thought I was a Keenan type of player. And then when I think back on, how it went down and what happened, and Mike, like my grandmother had passed away, and she had kind of raised us since my dad passed when I was young.
Mhm.
I asked if I could go home for the funeral, and I would be back prior to camp. I would meet the team in Colorado because we were Colorado Springs, and I would be at camp before the players, but I just wouldn't be there for the physical. Was Mike okay with me being at my grandma's funeral? Of course. Are you kidding me? That's what this is about. This is about family. We're all
Yeah.
together to fight. We're a family, hockey team or not, yada yada yada. And then when he skated up to me on the ice and said, "Hey, I'm putting you on waivers," and I wanted you to hear it from me first, and we were just about ready to leave the ice after practice in Colorado Springs, and I go, "Why didn't I was dumbfounded." And a couple laps I was making after practice, and I just shooting some pucks. And Hully said to me, "What did he say to you?" And I said, "He's put me on waivers." And he goes, "Well, why the hell wouldn't he just trade you?" I said, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And good question. And I went in the room to meet with him, Ted Sater, Bob Berry. Teddy Sater was sticking up for me, kind of like Mike blew it off nonchalantly and said, I said, "Why don't you just trade me?" He said, "We don't have time. There's a lot happening this lockout. Yeah, I didn't have time to trade you." Which is what? You could
Yeah.
get it for me, even if it was a 10th round pick, right? And there was only 9 rounds. You're getting something for me. And he said, "Yeah, I didn't have time. And besides, we got to move forward. We can't keep this all Shanny, Holly, Cujo,
I remember that.
lovey
Oh
dovey
God.
stuff that you got going on in the room." He goes, "To be honest with you," he goes, I'm actually, he goes, I'm in the midst of doing whatever." And he goes, "And someone that wants to just leave and go home for a wedding," he goes, and I sat a wedding and I stood up. Teddy Sater recognized, he'll put up with a little bit, but he ain't gonna, it doesn't matter if Mike's a coach or what. That
Yeah.
was, I should have punched him in the mouth, but I got up. I said, "What did you say?" And I was kind of yelling back at him. I said, "I went home for a funeral and you're the one that told me to go." And and he blew it off like it was nothing. And at that point, I was like, okay, I've separated that part of my life from like the team part of it. So when I got home and saw those kids, the hockey part of it, I didn't want to play for Keenan. By the time I landed back in St. Louis, Mike Keenan wasn't on my mind. It was the people that I was leaving behind in the community.
Yeah. And that was, to me, that was one of the most telling things about you was that you are so entwined in the St. Louis community and always have been and still are. And one of the
Yeah.
main reasons I wanted to talk with you, in fact, you've been on my radar to yap with a while. By the way, let me backtrack. I did have Keenan on my podcast, which by the way is available if anyone wants to hear it, because he wrote a new book about Iron Mike. And I asked him about all of his contentious times in St. Louis. He says that he sees Hull once in a while, he sees Shanahan once in a while, he sees a few of the guys on golf tournaments, and he claims he's a changed and kinder, gentler man. Have you had any
Yeah,
interactions with him?
I have actually. It was in Vegas at Gretzky's fantasy camp, and Mike, I brought it up to him what he said, and I said,
Good.
"You got away with one with me." And the least li- likely guy to ever say anything or talk back is Brian Leach. And when Mike started to kind of, what I thought might have been a correction in the statement, Brian Leach just jumped on him and just said, Mike, you did this and this and this to me. I know that's exactly what happened. And he's saying what happened because this happened. And I kind of stood by and didn't really have to say much because
Right.
one of the most credible guys in the National Hockey League was standing there calling Mike out about it. And yes, we all forgive and move on and go, oh, that's the way he was, because that's how we are.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter where you go. There's always a story about Mike pulling, he got away with a lot. He's
He
lucky.
did. And by the way, I asked him, I said, do you regret a lot of your behavior? And he said, absolutely. And I think because Mike got sick too, he had some heart issues.
Yeah.
And I think, that'll wake you up a little bit and make you reflect on your past. And I think he did that. I think he kind of said, I could have done things way differently. He not only mentioned hockey, he mentioned his marriage, he mentioned a lot of different things, how he
Right.
treated people. And I brought up an incident, how he called me out in the media. And I'm like, and I simply said, what was your problem with me? I was one of the very few
Yeah.
female reporters at the time.
Yeah.
But here nor there, we don't want to talk about him. We want to talk
Oh,
about you. I've wanted to talk to you for a while now on the podcast, because you've been going through so much with
yeah.
your health, and you've been so public about it. And why are you so public about it? Why do you want people to know what's happening?
Because I got a different platform, Randy.
Uh-huh.
And like, I think we do a lot of things and we don't follow through with it. We'll go and help, Dream Factory, Wish Foundation, the Mental Health Initiative, Wounded Warriors. And then there's just really not a follow-up. And, when I got cancer, I was like, well, I was in the hospital and I was watching all of these people that had nobody or nothing. Like, I don't know if their spouse was away working to pay the insurance or what it was, but it was sad to me. It was sad that they, and then you get so many people that get married to the bed.
Yeah.
And you get in that hospital and the floors I was on, a lot of people that aren't getting off that floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they're getting off it, but they're not the way they wanted to. And so I don't know. I just wanted to help people. I thought I could make a difference. My friends and my family have helped make a difference. The people in the community have helped make a difference. We'll raise a couple $1 million in the last 3 years for cancer research. And I wanted it to go to actual research. I didn't want to build a new.
Administrative costs, none of that business,
Yeah.
right?
So we partnered with the Blues, the V Foundation, and just said, let's try and make a difference and see what we can do. And we did. And it's been effective. I'm proud of what we've accomplished with the team, the alumni, especially the staff with the Blues. I really like Randy Gersh and his staff. Like, I really and truly am proud of the way they've supported the efforts and supported me, quite honestly,
And that leads us to the third annual Puck Cancer Game, which is happening
Yeah.
on March 27th. It's happening at Centene Ice Center, and it benefits Siteman Cancer Center and the V Foundation for Cancer Research. First of all, this is a very popular event. It sells out very much it sells out a lot. You can get VIP packages and rub elbows with some of the biggest names in the NHL and its entertainment industry. Rattle off some of the names you got coming this year.
Well, it's a lot of the same characters, but from a hockey standpoint, you take the NHL players and then you want to put all of the older guys back in their backline. So look, like Maroon and Steen and those guys are going to come back and play. And then you'll have on the NHL side, mostly, guys that I know are just great people and love to give to charity. Scotty Upshaw and Ryan Malone and guys like that. I got Billy Bush coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Billy's going to play. Been a friend of mine for quite a few years. And I said, dig out the gear, big boy. It's time. He's going to play. Sean Payton's going to coach. So far, I haven't heard a no yet, but I got Garth, Dierks Bentley, Garth Brooks,
Okay,
and
how do you know all these people? I mean, I know you've been around, but all these major, huge country music stars, is it because you've been in Nashville? I mean, what is it?
it's my personality. They,
You still got it, by the way.
no, I don't know. I just become friends with them. Here's my take on it. I work for a great company that has a lot of these types of people around, which is Discovery Land Company, and so on our properties that we sell to, like I got a great text today from, and I'm completely name dropping, but from Mark Wahlberg. I sold the
Nice.
place. He said, Chaser, thanks a lot. I'm going to be back up at Gaza Ranch and I'm going to call you because I want you to find me, the next place. But for the next year and a half, I've got stuff booked out and I wouldn't get there. So I'm going to, and so I've had this, like, there's certain guys I don't want to say I wouldn't take around because my boss would kill me, but there's certain guys I don't want to be, I'll go and test the water. And if they're not my type of people, I would
Right.
either pass them on or just politely decline. I'm busy with someone else that day. And I've always kept my distance. And I think guys in these properties have trusted me. And then I hit stuff head on in the locker room. And when it comes to people asking me questions, and I think the resiliency of your personality is about how transparent you can be and with what integrity you do it. And so I think that's been a blessing that I have.
Yeah, you've never been one to even
No,
going back to the days of sports reporting. I remember I was watching an interview with you and one of the Ice Guardian episodes, which is your podcast with Brett Hall, and holy cow, it's hilarious. You guys were talking about some of the things you couldn't get away with saying in a locker room these days with the media around. Again, I was one of the few female sports reporters back in the early to mid '90s,
yep.
and I heard some things. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And Holly was saying you couldn't get away with some of that stuff today.
Well, he's right. And you were awesome about it. And you were just one of us.
Yeah.
Like, I always look at that. Like you said something when we were pre-recording and I said, I barked something back at you and you said, well, you haven't changed in that department. Like, I never worried about what you were going to go and run out and tell people. And
No.
no, and believe me, there's guys in that room I would never say shit around because
Well, there was a time, and I remember, and I had no problem pushing back at some guys sometimes because there were some comments and there were some things. And I remember your buddy Brett one day out
no,
at the Chesterfield ice rink got PO'd because the microphone battery died during his interview. And he kind of looked at the photographer and gave him a little talking to. And I said, dude, I ripped the mic off of him. What? I go, we're not doing this. You're not here to abuse a photographer. And he looked at me like, holy cow, who is this? Who is she to talk to me like that? I'm like, I do not care if you are Brett the Golden Hull. I do not. You don't talk to people that way. So I think he and I are still buds.
well, he would have respected that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing with Brett is he'll bark something out once in a while. And then when but if he thinks he's right, he's not changing.
Oh, heavens. I've seen that too. Now, talk about your relationship with Brett still, because I see you on commercials. You're still out there. You're still in front of the media, just doing just great stuff. And this Ice Guardians thing that you guys do together is hilarious, telling old school hockey stories.
Yeah.
Um, and how often do you do that with him?
Well, we record probably 4 days a month.
Uh-huh.
Probably get maybe 5 or 6 podcasts in those 4 days. I've always had a great relationship with Brett, okay? But this podcast is blowing up. And I can't believe how much the media market has changed in 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because my last year of doing anything with the Blues was it when we won the Cup. And that's not that long ago.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everything's changed. I didn't know what the hell meta was when, you start, you know what I mean? Like, how to sponsorship, I know. I know advertising, I know how to put a sponsor package together, you name it. But like the stuff in my team, uh, Drew, Jake, and Will, I thought I would need, like, you're doing a podcast and you know the business a little bit, and you're single handedly. I got 5 people around me, and if you count Brett, that's 10 because he's so polarizing and sometimes hard to handle. But
Yes, he is.
we're just getting bombarded with people calling and trying to either come on the show or make suggestions or asking if we can do appearances. And I said to Brett, I'm not saying you weren't relevant, but boy, are you relevant again.
Well, I mean, because it's showing both of you in a different light because you personality wise have not changed. Brett has not changed. He's just able to be Brett now. And on a podcast platform, you can drop the F bomb. You can say whatever the hell you want now. And you know what? That's what people are consuming today. And it's great. And I love it. And P.S. I want to come into your studio one time and watch you guys do this because I think it would just be a lot of fun to be, in the gallery watching you goofballs do it.
Yeah, this place is special. It's I mean, the night before, the 2 nights before the game, the Puck Cancer game, we'll have a lot of guys coming through here to do shows. And I'm sure we could pack it with donors and say, hey, I'll give, $5,000 to come in and sit in there for the night with Shanahan, Pronger, Butcher, Hall, Chase,
Oh,
Twist, Billy Bush, Theo Fleury. Like, those are the guys that we plan on having in for the day, just hanging. And so I'm sure there's donors.
yeah.
You know,
They
that'll
would pay
reach
money
out.
to do that and just hear those stories.
Well, yeah. But my point being is that I think there's still political correctness. There's a line, right? And Brett, he certainly walks it. But there's times too where the live to the recorded gets changed a little bit, and that's okay. We want people to come to the podcast because they love the stories. But if we happen to share a view that's ours and they don't like it, we talk about it in the studio amongst each other and say, like, was this over the line or was it not? And sometimes it is, and the sensitivity with politics now.
Oy, oy. That's why,
Yeah,
guess what, Kelly? I do not, I have not, and I never will touch it ever. People said, we want you to come and talk about the election. It's like, nope, I don't talk politics, never have, never will. Nobody
well,
cares. Nobody cares what I think.
go back as I was watching. What's his name? Comedian way back in the Don Rickles,
Yeah.
and he was on with Johnny Carson.
It's the one who
And,
calls everybody a hockey puck, right?
and Johnny Carson said, like, he would never, like, why don't you? And he said, no, that's not my job. Nobody wants to hear me talk about politics. I'm not a politician.
I agree with that. I'm
So,
not going to change
when
any minds.
yeah, when I see these donkeys on the air that are on late night talking about it, I'm like, all right, switch.
Yeah.
Because I don't care what they think. Like, they're not influencing me politically. I
Right.
have,
Right.
I don't burst them out and, so zip it, because I could care less what
I
they
love
think.
it.
Yeah.
So I got only a few questions left. How are you doing now? How are things? Because as you mentioned a little while ago, you got punched in the nose and you had
Yeah.
issues with your sight and your hearing. And how are you? I mean, you seem like the same old Kelly to me. How is your health right now?
Well, it was interesting. I had a little spurt there where I went through a couple of weeks of bad luck and lost my sight, lost my hearing. So for 6 days, I was without sight and hearing. But for 4 of those 6, I was completely blind and completely deaf. So I think I cried for 4 of them. And
Yeah.
it scared me, And then I went to Boston. They gave me some hope with my sight. I was going to be there 2 days to get checked out. My wife and I went there. It turned out I was there for 2.5 weeks. They checked me 3 times a day in the hospital. and I started to regain a little bit of my sight. I'll never get 75% of my right eye back,
Yeah.
but I'll, hopefully get 25, and I'm trying to keep my right eye. And again, everything's a blur on the screen and everything right now. But I still think you've never looked better. And
I was not fishing, by the way.
yeah, hearing aids, you know, and look, I'm a proud guy, and these are some things that kicked me pretty hard. And then I
So
came
what about the
home.
cancer? Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, I came back home, and I'm trying to recover, and I end up. I was telling my wife too. I'm walking across the parking lot. I go, I think I've turned a corner. The sight, the hearing, everything. Like, I got the hearing aids. I think I've come to realize, like, things are going to change in my life, but I'm going to work hard at this and try and make this, make the most of this and help as many people as I can.
As you
I'm
do.
saying it, I'm walking behind the car with the groceries, and down I go. And I'm holding my chest. And she's like, "What's the matter?" And normally I would say nothing. I just got a little heartburn. But at this point, this one really got me. And I'm like, "I don't know." She goes, "Are you having a heart attack?" I said, "I don't know, Raylan." And I ended up getting up and taking me to the hospital, 911, called the doctors, got in, and they took me in. I was in about 4 hours, and they come out and said, "It's not a heart attack. Unfortunately, the scan shows you have pancreatitis." Pancreatitis. And I
Mhm.
said, "What does that mean?" And they said, "Well, we're going to put a stent in." And, well, that was plugged in about 2 minutes, and they did surgery to take out my gallbladder because it was full of stones. And it
Well,
was
that's
probably,
good. That's good that it's gone then.
well, it is because it was, it needed to go because of all the painkillers, and it was causing me to be, in a lot of pain. So,
Okay. So fast forward to say a week ago, you're recovering from your gallbladder surgery,
oh,
but wait, there's more.
wait, actually, before the gallbladder was my teeth. I had 3 cavities and implants falling out, so they had to go in and do it. A little bit of work, worried about infection, and did a lot of work on me without Novocaine and needles, and that was fairly painful, I will tell you.
Without Novocaine.
Well, in some areas, yeah. So if you ever get a
Ugh.
fling without any freezing, it's pretty intense. But anyways, I get out of that, and it's just mouth. It's just your mouth, and it's just pain. It's residual pain, but it's not the kind of pain you get from brain pain. Not the kind of pain you get from your eyes. It's different. It's not as bad. I get out, fall behind the car. Not a heart attack. Got to have my gallbladder out. Get home from gallbladder after about 8 days, and as it turns out, I get some, I don't know, vertigo or something from the pills. I fall in the middle of the night, and I break my shoulder.
You're in a sling right now.
Playing with a broken shoulder, can't hear, can't see,
I don't
can't
mean to
taste
laugh.
anything,
I don't mean to laugh.
can't
Holy cow.
chew. And I told my brother on the phone the other night, he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know, bud, but if it happens again and I go down, just cover me with dirt this time."
No, we are not ready for
I,
that. We
I'm
are
not,
not ready.
I'm not getting up the next time.
Okay, I did want to ask about your family, Ray Lynn and your boys.
Yeah.
How have they been through this whole thing? Because they've seen nothing but you as the strong man, as the big guy in the family, as how are they doing and how are they helping you along?
Well, for the first few years, my big thing was not to see me in a vulnerable position. So if I was going to cry, it would be in the shower at night.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I've got a lot of good friends, but a guy like Twister, who really understands me and understands like the lifestyle we had to live and then portray, was very helpful to me. And I've had a lot of good people around me like that. Okay. And But my family, my son came home from Scottsdale where he was working, Will, and was a massive help to me because of his, his job and everything. It was allowed him to do that. Ray Lynn was playing on a curling team she made, and I wouldn't allow her to come home. I'm like, no, this is about you this time. Like, everything's always been about me.
Yeah.
And she was training, their training facility was in Tempe, Arizona. And we have a place in Scottsdale. So, and I have two boys going to school there at ASU. So she was able to be 2 minutes from the boys' house, the two younger ones, stay with the younger ones. Will came home. And then, everyone gathers at the holidays, and, that's what they did. And everyone's been in touch. And so I've been very fortunate. They check in on me daily, and then when, I think I've been more vulnerable this last go around, and they can see it and they come home. I'm getting inducted into the Blades Hall of Fame in Saskatoon this weekend.
That's amazing. So you're going to travel.
Pardon?
You're getting on a plane. You're going to travel like that.
Get on a plane and travel, yeah. And so there's a lot of things going on with our family that we're all very close knit and stick together. And listen, I've been lucky because I've got special friends around me, but my family has been unbelievable. Like, these three boys of mine, I couldn't be prouder of them. I couldn't tell you how much more I respect the fact that they're good human beings and they got their integrity in check.
And that's all you want out of your kids, right? Grow up to be decent people, be good humans.
Yeah.
Well,
done that, you've done your work.
Yes, indeed. Well, I definitely want to tell everyone again about the Blues alumni third annual Puck Cancer Game happening on March 27th. And that is happening at the Centene Ice Center there in Maryland Heights. And it benefits and supports Siteman Cancer Center and the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Now, I know that it's sold out in the past. Fans have the option to purchase general admission tickets for $50 or VIP tickets for $500, which kind of gets a all-inclusive thing, food, beverage. You can rub shoulders with the likes of David Backus, Dierks Bentley, Garth Butcher, Tony Granato, Brett Hull, Joey Koster, Matt Irwin, Tyler Johnson, Pat Maroon, Sean Payton, Brendan Shanahan, and Jim, is it Vesey or VC? Vesey. VC. But I know that's subject to change and you might get more people. So I want to hear about this Lamborghini you're raffling off. It's not going to be there, but people have access to tickets.
It will be there, actually. It'll
cool.
be there, but we won't auction it that day. But yeah, raffle tickets are $100. And what I did was I bought a Lamborghini, and I'm not a Lamborghini guy. You've known me my whole career here. I'm a truck guy, farmer, but I bought this Lamborghini, and my friends over at White Glove Automotive, Alex David, has helped me put this wrap together on it, and it's taken about 120 players that were sort of unsung heroes and put it on the car. And so we've got this huge group of guys that maybe otherwise don't get talked about much, and they're a part of it, and they're the Ice Guardians. They really are the Ice Guardians, right? And they exemplify that. And it's an opportunity for these guys or an opportunity for people to pay $100, win a couple $100,000 car, and have all of the likes of these guys on it, where if they want, they could park it outside and get them signed. I would help them get it signed by guys, but it's got all of the Hall of Famers on it, and then about 120 guys that, as we said, are unsung heroes and
cool.
Yet are really a part of what St. Louis is all about.
So do you know what the website is where people go to get tickets?
To the game?
Yeah.
Puck Cancer. Yeah, it's puckcancer.com. Jake, what's the name of it? They're on Ticketmaster.
Oh, Ticketmaster. Okay.
Yep. You can go to Ticketmaster.
Awesome.
And then get tickets. There's only about 600 tickets left, I think, of the 4,000 or whatever it was.
Well, we're going to help you sell them out. How's that?
I hope you do, because it would be a shame not to sell it out 3 years in a row.
Yeah, we're going to do it. With the help, we're going to do it, man. We are going to do it. So, it's been a long time coming since you and I had a chat, and I'm so happy you took the time. I know, obviously, you have so much going on in your life. It's absolutely bonkers. But here you are, still giving back, still persevering, still being the goofy Kelly that we all know and love. So I can't thank you enough for joining me today.
Randy, you've always been my favorite, and I will be happy to come on anytime, any show, anytime. I
All
said the
right.
other day I was doing or did a little thing with First Form, and they're videotaping, and they're taping, and said, listen, we're going to do a body scan. So I've got to get down to my underwear, and I'm 141 pounds right now. So I said, listen, you guys, if I'm going to get naked at 141 pounds, somebody better be getting help because of it. So I said, however we need to put this together so that we can help others with this body, because if I went in the locker room right now and took my laundry off and said, okay, here's your new tough guy, boys, in the Chicago Stadium, there'd be a lot of guys going, no. Dress the trainer, but he ain't playing with us.
And yeah, and First Form is an amazing company with the Frisella brothers running it. They're out of Fenton. They're doing amazing things for wellness and health
Yep.
and all that
Yep.
good stuff. And it's really cool that they're a St. Louis company as well. Okay, I'm going to let you go today, let you get back to your business. And I thank you very much for joining me on the More to Say podcast.
Anytime, kid.
All righty, kid. There he goes again.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.